Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of the Personal Branding Secrets podcast with me, Ash Borland, personal branding coach, helping you build an impactful and profitable personal brand business. Today, we've got some streaming experts for you, which is pretty awesome, to be fair. I'm a big streaming fan myself, but to have some people who actually know the ins and outs of streaming, do a show themselves, and a proper streaming and not just a live streaming podcast, real streamers, proper streamers, we're going to bring them on the show. But first, let's run the intro. Hello, 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 Dr. Elo and Sai. How are you guys?
Hello.
Doing great.
Welcome to the show. Your background, by the way, Elo, is awesome.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
I don't know. Obviously, people who listen to this are going to be like, I can't understand what he's talking about. But what is in those lights? What are you using?
I have hue lights in the background, so I can change it from my cell phone. It's it's pretty cool. Actually, my wife designed it. Every single thing of it. I don't have anything to do with it, so I can change the lights, the colors, all kinds of stuff. So it's all props to her.
That makes me feel. I'm bringing that up on full screen. That is ridiculous. I don't know. I've seen this. The reason why is I went and did some stalking for both of you on social media, which is always cool. And I was like, I swear the lights when I see him, it's purple, but there's ones there where they were red and there was blue, and I was thinking this is crazy. And Sai, you got some cool stuff in the background as well, but it's lots of
it's just dog stuff.
Dog stuff, is it? Oh, I love dog stuff.
All stuff of dogs.
That's what type of dog? I love dogs. So that's awesome.
4 dogs, 4
Really?
rescue dogs. Yes.
Wow, what breed?
I have 2 beagles. They were rescued from a puppy
beagles.
miller, and I have 2. They're kind of like mutts, a little bit of a poodle mixed in with like Maltese and Bichon. Actually.
Oh, lovely. That's a proper
on.
Yeah.
That's 4. That's a lot of dogs. Like,
so I apologize in advance if you start hearing the derp squad.
It's
barking.
not a problem. My cat is, funnily enough, asleep underneath the desk. So sometimes he crawls across here and takes the statues, the pops. So I wouldn't worry too much. It's absolutely fine. So Sai and Elo, welcome to the show. I want to, as I say, with you guys are stream experts. I've seen you guys do this stuff. You work with some amazing people. I'd love to get a bit of a backstory around who you guys are before we dive into more streaming stuff. So obviously you're the first ever interview I've done with 2 people as well. So that's really cool. So this is a first for me. This is exciting. I'm looking at both of you going, what to do? So why don't we, so when I messaged you, Elo, and said, would you want to come on the show? You're like, yeah, can we cycle? And I was like, oh yeah, that's amazing. Because I've not done that. So guys, give me a bit of a backstory about who you are, what you do, why you do it, so my listeners understand.
Ladies first.
All right. My name is Saya, so we already know it now. I work with game development and game publishing, and I've been working with in the gaming industry for a very long ass time. And I started live streaming when we started doing publishing events back in 2013, all the way back to Google Plus and whatnot. So it's been a long road for me, and I got to know David like about 5-6 years ago, and he was someone that kind of a mentor to me, so to speak, because he has helped me so much along the way, learning what to do, how to frame, how to do the content, how to even edit content, how to promote the content, absolutely everything I've picked up along the way with him. And coming from the gaming industry, it's been a lot of how can I say this? It's been a lot of work, so to speak, trying to learn how to understand your audience, how to understand how to work with platforms, because, not even console or desktop gamers are exactly the same. So it's a lot to work in between, along with the idea of having to understand live streaming as well. So it's been challenging, so to speak. So that's one of the reasons why when I got to the David Foster, the Impartial Geek, it was so helpful for me, because he is someone that understands the tech, understands the ins and out of how to work along with, live streaming, how to repurpose the content, how to, tailor the content to what you want to do, how to actually find a way to organize your ideas and basically just get started, get going with that. So for me, it's been a long process ever since 2013 with live streaming. Well, I actually stopped streaming a few years ago, and I'm back streaming thanks to Elo. He was like, "No, we're doing a podcast," and then the podcast became live streams, and now we're going live like 3-4 times a week. It's crazy.
I love that.
Absolutely love live streaming now, to be honest.
It's interesting. We're going to dive. I know that both of you have like that kind of gaming, Twitch kind of background, and that's we're going to dive into that because this is not only is it the first time for 2 people on. I'm super excited because I'm a massive gaming nerd, and the reason why I love streaming is because of games. So having you guys on, my little like inner nerd is going.
That's why I mentioned that I absolutely love the back studio that you got going on.
That's why that makes so much more sense now. Because at first I was like, yeah, that's cool, but like no one's ever said that, and I was like, I made that for that. This is the moment. Yeah, honestly, honestly, no one's. Well, that's because you guys get it. You appreciate real artwork, So we can dive straight in. We'll dive a lot into that, but let's give Elo, mate. I'm going to give you a center stage. Let's tell us a little bit about you and what you do and like where you're from and your background.
All right.
I'm buzzed. This is going to be great.
Efren Lopez, call me Dr. Elo. So basically, I've been doing live streaming since September 2020. Actually doing it constantly, right?
Yeah.
I followed David since the beginning of his career as a live streamer. And I used to be a moderator for him in the other channel that he had. And now that he's here, well, we're definitely all intertwined, and we're doing content for each other. And it's been really cool to see myself grow during the live streams. But basically, everything you see right around here, everything is based on the David Foster method about how to show you do your background. I have Go XLR that he has. I have the microphone. It's not the same one, but it's the one that's better for my voice. So I've adapted every single thing towards whatever he has told me. Right, I've learned a lot from him, so I owe him a lot. And now with Sai, we have a group called the Creators Guild. We have a Twitch channel as well that we do streaming every week there. And we started off as doing a one-time interview, and now we have 2 shows. So, and I have my own YouTube channel as well. She comes on my YouTube channel too. So we're all over the place with live streaming. So we do basically approximately like 4 live streams a week, and sometimes we do a bonus. So it's great. It's amazing. It's for me, live streaming is just it's like exciting. It's like a drug, man. It's ridiculous. It's like addicting.
It really is. That's great. Like gives me so much more context to you guys, because obviously you both have massive respect for David Foster, which is amazing. And I've seen a lot of his content, and he appears a lot in Nick's streams, which obviously I know Nick. So I see that a lot. David's stuff always speaks to me from a Twitch point of view. It's that kind of gamer. It's a real kind of thing, and you can see that in what you do. So I really like that. So how much have you, I'm going to dive straight in with you, Sai, and both of you add in, because this is, like I said, it's going to be interesting. But for you being in the gaming industry and being in that kind of line of work, live streaming is really interesting, because I think it was pioneered in that space. Obviously, there's other spaces it was pioneered in, but really it pioneered in the gaming space first and is now transitioning into more mainstream. Have you noticed that? And what's your kind of thoughts of, are things the same? What's that been like as someone who's been in it for a long time, seeing it? People are live streaming now on LinkedIn, for example, and they're like, oh, this is live streaming. Like, yeah, this stuff's been going for years. So
yeah, at first I think it was always something like gamers trying to share experiences, like they just get first dips on the game or something like that, and they just wanted to showcase the game and whatnot. And I've been working with a publisher for a very long time, since like 2012, give or take. And one of the things that we used to do with the live events is that every single time when we did a publishing, we always organized the developers, and sometimes, because I work with Jane Jensen as well, so it was one of the biggest events that we did, like doing the remake of Gabriel Knight. And we had a lot of people come to the event, and it was kind of daunting at first, but because most of the time when we're talking about live streaming, it was only organized as a community thing way back then. Like, you were kind of chilling with your game and trying to get your friends in, and, would you share that experience, so to speak. And live streaming has moved forward to become much more accessible, even for businesses and small business owners, so to speak, because you're talking about not just getting your content out. Let's say, like, I'm passionate about, I don't know, for example, in David's case, I'm passionate about getting people into content creation. I'm passionate about helping people get started with the projects they want to get started. So it's becoming from, from an entertainment point of view into a much more variety of cases. We're talking about, educational, we're talking about business related, so to speak. So this is fascinating because, I mean, even when it comes to platforms and whatnot, Twitch is by excellent the gaming one. And I know, I know sometimes I give Twitch a lot of crap, but they're fantastic when it comes to community, and they're wonderful when it comes to, organizing groups of people for you to know. You have like the bits, you have the memberships, you have all sorts of stuff that you don't really have sometimes in other platforms. Like, for example, Facebook still has so much to go in terms of providing kind of like value for community and whatnot. And same with YouTube. YouTube is fantastic, but YouTube, it's a little bit more like video oriented. So, even though that is progressed, I think you still need to kind of take a little bit of time to research and see which one is best for you, mostly because not every single platform is going to be oriented for your kinds of needs. I mean, whether you just want to play games with your friends or you just want to get your business started and you need to, find your people, so to speak, online.
No, I like that. What about you, Elo? What do you think in regards to that? Because obviously you're saying you just started streaming this like into 2020, so last year.
Yeah.
And you're on Twitch, you guys. Obviously, I know you're on Twitch because I've actually, funnily enough, seen the show. It has come up on my suggested, which is cool. But I used to watch David's stuff, so that was like making sense. How have you found that whole experience of like live streaming on Twitch in comparison to other platforms?
I used personally for my YouTube channel, I have it on obviously on YouTube, right? But I live stream primarily on YouTube. But when I started streaming with Sai on Twitch, it's a whole different kind of vibe. It's a place where it's a find your tribe place. Let's put it that way. And there's a lot more entertainment for people. There's a lot more to the emotes that help you out, express yourself. There's a lot of stuff that YouTube is lacking, and every other platform to be here. Even I do have LinkedIn, and I still don't do LinkedIn very much because I don't find it intuitive. I don't find it that people are actually watching it, right? They just watch it and that's it. Like you got 2 or 3 persons here, you have a tribe of 39 watching your stream. So it's there are 2 different platforms in between YouTube and Twitch, but I believe that Twitch for streaming is number 1. Now, if you want to have discoverability, that's where you have to go to YouTube because obviously YouTube is owned by Google. So there's the second biggest search engine in the world. So it's you have to mix and match if you want to, but at the same time, if you're affiliate in one, you can't be streaming to both. So it's a trick.
Yeah, that's exactly how the Twitch channel came to be for us, because David had his impartial geek is present in all platforms. He's on Facebook, he's on Twitch, and he's on YouTube. However, he had to make a decision and just concentrate on YouTube for now, because I believe he had a conversation with Harry Seller. I don't remember how it went, how it happened. And he basically recommended, look, it's for the best because he's a partner over in Twitch. And he was like, it's for the best for you to, not multicast when you're doing this. So one of the things that he decided to do is that instead of shutting down the Twitch channel, he decided to repurpose the channel for the Creators Guild, which is the group that he's got going on for content creators.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I actually saw that video from Harris Heller. There was a video Harris put out about growing your YouTube channel as a gamer and as a Twitch saying. So when you're saying that, it's funny how these things, when you're in the kind of ecosystem, especially when you're people, and we've never met, until like literally 2 weeks ago we met, which was really cool when we did this, and it's crazy. But like I saw that video because it made me rethink. I actually started streaming my podcast to Twitch because I was like, I'm a gamer. That's my passion. That's my hobby outside of work. And I was like, my podcast, you guys literally saying it with all the backgrounds. I was like, this will work. I can do this. I can teach gamers how to build a personal brand, help them build a stream. But then I saw that thing. I did see Harris Heller because I use Stream Beats all the time, and it's amazing. And I saw, it's all right. And I saw that video, and I was like, I don't know actually. And then it was funny then, Dr. Elo, because you were on, where you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, I think not last week, about how you'd got the channel, and I was like, maybe
Yeah.
not start that. Maybe not start
Yeah,
that.
and
Maybe
it is better for us to be able to not just shut down the channel, because he's been working so hard at it, and everything that we get to do is for the guild, so to speak. We're talking about
1,000 people, you know.
we're talking about doing content about how to do graphic design. We're talking about how to do layouts. We're talking about, you know, the creators toolkit and stuff. Everything is since like inbound marketing, so to speak, and we're trying to, you know, organize all that stuff. Like not so to do something out of with the channel by now.
Absolutely. So when it comes to with you guys with live streaming, because this is something that I'm always really intrigued by, is you said you've done a podcast and then you moved to live streaming. Now, the reason why I ask this question is, and this has been I'm asking you now from a personal perspective, it's very hard to decide if I'm going to be fully live. And this is what I wanted to ask you these things to you guys, whether you're going to be fully live and engage with your audience, at which point it's very hard to repurpose as a podcast because it's a be there moment, or going into, well, I was going to ask is but depending on what you do, or going as like a show that's live that I will then interact with you afterwards. How do you guys approach it? How do you approach that kind of live interacting with audience as well as repurposing for rewatch or re-listen later on?
It is a learning curve. It is a learning curve for us right now because we're familiar with the format of doing just live streaming or doing the podcast. We're familiar on that regard. But then David, with the interview, because one of the interviews that we did was with David, he was like, let's go live. He was like, let's go live. I'm giving you the channel. We're going to organize it. We're going to make something out of it. Let's just go live and do it live. And right now we're trying to learn as we go, because in theory, it's easy for you to say, okay, I'm going to say hello. We're going to open the podcast and then we're just going to record and, you know, ignore the audience or something. It's very hard. It's very hard when you have like 30, 40 people show up and they start, you know, vibing with you and they're freaking amazing and they start commenting on everything you say. So sometimes it's a little bit distracting. It gets you off track. Editing magic in that regard. That's why sometimes it takes me so long, because I'm the one that does the post-production of the podcast. It takes me so long because I have to edit a lot of stuff like that when we're making comments with the audience and whatnot. But ideally, the best way for you to do it is that, you know, you first greet your audience. You get started with the format. You just greet your audience. You let them know what's going on. And eventually what you do is that you just start recording, do the recording, and then go back to your audience. Easier said than done, for sure.
And oftentimes those conversations with the audience, those are the conversations that people want to hear. So it's really hard to ignore great questions or great comments and just keep on going with it. So we've decided basically we'll take it by case, see how it goes. We'll ignore whatever is not, you know, good for our content, but sometimes it's inevitable.
I'm really interested. The reason why, and I'm really glad you said that. And there's a really interesting thing, because David was doing a live and I actually asked him that question, because it's been a thing I've been trying to get my head around, is from a repurposability point of view, or a rewatch and a re-listen, because mine is a podcast first and a live stream really second. And so it's not actually, but the issue is, and this is something what I've had the problem is that the beauty of live is community building. And when you remove that element of conversation, you don't build a community. You're just doing a YouTube video
live
to people live. Yeah, exactly. And what's really funny with that is, and what I noticed was when people, and this is something I'm asking you because you guys are live experts, when I first started going live, people would really interact. Now I get lots of comments after, like throughout the day, but I don't get people interacting because they're like, well, he won't respond because I know that what he's doing is recording his show.
You educated your people, basically.
That's not a good thing, because it's like because it is good, you're right, but at the same time I'm like, what's the point?
What you want.
It's interesting. Like, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I agree with you as well, though, Dr. Elo, is how some of the best conversations happen on those questions. And so it's interesting, just because you guys do a podcast as well as a live show, and how you combine them, because I think it's just an age-old question that I see a lot of people, and especially clients I work with who have podcasts, who are terrified of going live. They're absolutely terrified of going live, and I keep saying go live. But it's interesting to see how you guys have dealt with it.
For example, in our personal case, one of the things that I'm doing in post-production is that when the question is really good, like what Elo is saying, sometimes some of the banter is amazing. So I leave it in. I have to edit it in. So one of the things that I have to do, which we actually have to do when we're more conscious next time that we go live, is that try to read the name and try to read the comment and try to make it much more easy to understand, as if someone will be just listening, because some of those moments sometimes are amazing. So I'm leaving them in, actually. So
I love that. I love that. That's how it should be. It's just interesting to know, because that is some of those things. Now, with your show, do you clip it? Do you rescale? Like, how do once you've done the show?
What we're trying to do right now is that we're working on the post production, because we go live twice, and is even though there are two shows, one is the Creators Guild podcast, and the other one is inside the Creators Toolkit. So there are two different shows, and we're trying to repurpose this content. Basically, what we want to do is that we want to get started. I mean, since we are on this for a long-term kind of situation, we want to do the social media platform. We want to start doing clips of the podcast just to promote as well. So we're going to repurpose not just the editing of the live stream, but we're just going to also clip and repurpose it on social media.
Yeah, I love it. I really like that. So in regards to personal branding, this is something really interesting. You guys, you talk about David a lot, both of you as well. How important is personal branding, building a personal brand when it comes to having a successful live stream? Let's take Twitch or anywhere, but let's take Twitch, for example.
Or you gotta be you. You gotta be you. Like David's motto, unapologetically you. You gotta be yourself. Whatever you bring to the table, just make sure it's authentic. It's not fake, and that you're doing what you love, and you're doing it because you love it. It's not, I'm me, man. Believe me. Whenever I cuss, I say anything, it's me. And I always say crazy things, and people just laugh. It's the way I am, and I'm not going to be somebody else.
I didn't even ask you before the podcast if we could say bad words, because we tend to do that.
No, you absolutely can. You absolutely can. It's not a problem. Like I used to so I did loads. I used to say it all the time. But I don't anymore. And the only reason I don't is I just had a newborn son. So it's one of those where you just start to not say them, so stop swearing. But before, you go back and you go back,
repeating.
Yeah, and it goes again. Well, if you go back to a couple of episodes before, I have some episodes where I'm like, I don't even know that should even go out. I had a guy called James Burt on the show. He's called the Podcast King, and every other word was F, 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 F. I was like, okay. All right. Yeah. Oh God, no. Yeah. James is the Podcast King, and it's just literally I don't censor because yeah, exactly that. That's exactly what it would be. So you guys can swear as much as you want. So what about you? How do you find expressing your personal brand through the social, through that kind of live stream? How do you do that?
It is at first it's kind of hard to frame yourself into that mindset, because at first it's daunting, the idea of getting started doing content, and you're like, what am I going to do? Where do I want to go? Because there's so many platforms, there's so much software, there's a lot of alternatives, and sometimes it's a little bit complicated. Like, what do I do? Do I do Streamlabs, OBS? People don't really know what to do sometimes. So at first you got to get by. You gotta get past that, that whole hurdle. Okay, what am I gonna do? Just make a decision and give it a chance. If you want to try Streamlabs first, try Streamlabs first, and then you're gonna hate it, and you're gonna go back to OBS, everyone has done. Everyone has done, and then you just, you have to go through all these motions. You have to go through all these situations, and eventually, by doing, and this is something that I've actually we learned with David as well, the fact that you have to try things, you have to experiment, you have to give yourself the chance to explore content, because sometimes you think you want to do content about something in a specific, and then you start doing it and you freaking hate it. For example, it has happened to me. I've always wanted for the longest time to do a podcast or do content about how to live with chronic pain, because I live with chronic pain. But at the same time, I feel we were doing an episode of inside the Creators Toolkit recently, where I remember we were watching one of the videos from the toolkit, and David says, you have to be certain that this is something you want to talk for, you're capable of talking for 5 hours, and be super okay with that. This is something that you need to be passionate about, and you're going to commit to at least 6 months and stuff. And I was like, fuck, do I really want to be talking about how horrible I feel for a whole fucking day? I don't know if I want to do that. So the idea of it might seem interesting to me, but one of the things that I could probably talk for days is about the guild. about my guildies, about content creation. So I think I made the right choice when I tried to push myself into doing this kind of project with Elo and with the guild and with David, because it's something that motivates me. It is something that I'm passionate about. And it is something that I could talk for like 5 hours. Like, I'm still talking. I'm going to shut up now. But.
No, gosh, it's amazing. I love it. No, you guys, this is great. I'm loving this more than one person. It's great. You're so true. There's something you say, and this is going to echo Fun League is what we're saying about. There are a lot of things that you are passionate. There's a lot of things in your life that people you enjoy, but then it's only when you start to create, if you start to commit time to really understand it, do you really start to realize that you actually don't. It's not that you don't like it or not passionate about it, but it's that you can't talk about it. So that was me, like personal branding. I could talk about this, does my wife's head in, but because I could just chat for hours, like there's no off button. I could talk about this forever. But, and this is something you guys will get, I started streaming as a gamer, and quickly I did Mixer, which is a bad decision, but I built a channel quite big on Mixer because I'm a performer. I know how to stream. I know how to present. I realized that people aren't there for the games. They're there for the people. So you can create cool things, do cool stuff. And it took me about 6 months. And I was like, I hate this. Like, I absolutely hate it. And I was like, I love games. Yeah, and it was really,
especially gaming, it can be taxing. There's a lot of backseat drivers sometimes on streams that they're like, you fucking suck, man. And shit like that. It kind of wears you down a little bit. Yeah.
And when you're not good, like I'm not good, I just like playing. And I was like, and I said this to my wife, I was like, and this is actually how this kind of started. One of the reasons how this kind of started was because I was building a following, and like I was building a following on Instagram. So like on Instagram as a gaming channel, I went from 0 to 1,000 followers in 3 weeks because I know how to do that, because that's what I do. That's what people pay me to do. So, but it's very simple when you do it for like effectively. But I was like, I can't talk about this every single day because with gaming, as you guys know, it's my hobby, but it's not really like, it doesn't fire me up the way that this does. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. And it was really weird. And the fact you saying that, you're one of the only people who's ever said that, where they've gone, you have to be able to talk about it, because and it was just a kind of like going, took it out the box and gone, this is going to be my career. And we got sponsored. And we did all that stuff. Razer, I got a bloody Razer Kio webcam thing that they sponsored me for, and some headset. And then I just was like, I don't like this. I can't stare at a screen for 7 hours and play a game really crappily with everyone going, you're shit. So it wasn't the same.
It is difficult. When we used to do the publishing events and whatnot, sometimes we would just show like intros. We show very small bits of the game, and there were still a lot of criticism sometimes. So trust me, I mean, it was like, I'm not fucking playing. You fuck, what the fuck? So it was frustrating a little bit. And sadly, you cannot say that when because it's a studio and stuff. Like, so it's not like a stream like this where chill and stuff. You're gonna say, you know what, you dumb fuck, come here, let me tell you what I think about your opinion. So you cannot do that on a work stream. So it is sometimes difficult because you want to drive people in, you want people to come in and join and stuff, but sometimes it can wear you down. So you have to practice, you have to allow yourself to experiment, because sometimes you're going to be working, I don't know, let's say you want to start with games like Fortnite or something like that. But then in theory, you think that it's a fantastic game. You probably enjoy it. But wait until you go play with other people while people are watching, and the experience is going to be completely different.
Yeah, you're so right. It is completely different. And this is the thing. We were doing COD, and it was Warzone, and I just was like, I can't do this. Like, and that's why I'm asking. The way it's interesting because you say that, because how people are identifying that. You say, but David's saying that it's very important, is identifying it. Because there's a great guy that I had on the show, one of my very first guests, actually, a guy called Bob Gentle. Bob Gentle is in the UK, and he's a big digital marketer here, very well known. One of these guys that is like not very public, but knows everybody. Like all my guests come on the show who were like big, and he was like, Bob, you just mentioned Bob's name, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I know Bob, yeah, that's great. And he had on the episode, he said some amazing advice, which has always stuck with me since that very first episode. Was he was like, you better love what you do. He said, because for the first 3 years, you are going to be your #1 fan. And he said, and if you are not, It's so true, isn't it?
It's so true. It is
And
so
if
true. Nobody's going to cheer on you at
Oh, yeah.
first. In fact, you're going to have people who are going to be even extra negative. Why are you doing a stream? Why are you doing a podcast? Who cares? Who's going to be listening? What the fuck do you have to say? There's always going to be like 1,000 people giving you that kind of commentary. That's one of the reasons why I love the guild, because the guild is
Yeah.
completely the opposite. I have people there like is excited to do content and are actually doing content, and we just hang out and like every single stream that we can, and it's amazing. It's such a positive energy when you are surrounded by people who love that as well, and they motivate you and push you to do it, because otherwise you're never going to get to it. Never.
You've definitely got with that as well, like surrounding yourself with the guild, people like that who are like having that kind of tribe is a massive thing, you know, like huge thing. And it's one of those things actually how me and you, Dr. Elo, kind of were chatting in Rob's thing is Rob invited me to that because I said in the UK we don't have that type of, it's very early here in the UK. We're very, very far behind a lot of people in regards to this streaming tech. There are people, but there's nowhere near the same level as in the US or in Canada or in kind of that side of the world. Like here, like the idea of doing what I do in streaming is like, what? Like people thought when I was streaming on Mixer, my friends and family would go, "Are you a DJ?" And I was like,
"Sure."
I was like, "No."
Well, that's a new one. Are you a DJ?
I was like, "Yeah." I was
That's
like, "Why?"
great.
Said, "Well, mixing. You keep saying things about Mixer," and I was like, "No, that's not what that is." And then it's like now with like personal branding, everyone's like, "Oh, you're that like digital marketing guy." I'm like, "No, that's not what it is." So it's a very, very strange scenario. But with you guys then. And I'm going to ask this very cool question with this. I'm going to direct this one to you first, Elo. Is how hard has it been to get your head around? I mean, if you've been doing it since, say since 2020, how has it been the learning curve regards to the tech in making a good stream? Because you've just been showing me as soon as you started all the funky lights, which even I don't know how. I mean, I know what you've done there, but like they're cool. And then you were hitting. You definitely I don't know what sound pad you've got there underneath you were hitting some buttons there. You got a Rodecaster or something. There you go. See, like you've got stuff. What has that been like? How has the learning curve been on getting your head around the tech?
Well, I've always been around tech since I was little, so the learning curve hasn't been bad. I do have a master's degrees in network engineering, so that kind of helps out a little bit. But I've always been around tech. But David has like 90% of the fault for me buying shit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Every time he's like, "Oh, look at this, look at it," and you know, I got what they call gear acquisition syndrome, or gas. Like some people like to hear about it. So
I love that.
I got that. So I got every single part of equipment. I have more microphones than I got all kinds of stuff around. So it's been fairly easy, but the learning curve, because I like tech and I embrace the tech. And there's a saying that sometimes I say it's like fuck the tech. That's one of my mottos.
I saw one of your that literally saw your Instagram posts. It was so fuck the tech.
So that's
making me laugh.
Sometimes I just go plain. Don't go get my Yeti, put it on USB and just talk about it, and then I get techie. So it depends on the day, depends on how do I feel, but it's not a bad learning curve, but it can be taxing for other people.
What about you, Si? How have you found the whole? I mean, you've been doing it for a long time, but how have you found the whole? How important is tech, and how kind of daunting is it for a lot of creators?
It can be. It can certainly be. I've been through so many different variations of a lot of different even software. Like I don't know how many webcams and cameras I've got laying around. Like it's been a process ever since early 2010, so to speak. But you just learn. You just have to learn. I have to find a way to look at it like part of the process. Don't think too much of it. Just make it work, and that's it. Just find a way to make it work. And if you need the troubleshoot the whole thing, or if you just need help or something, just go. Well, luckily now I have the guild, but I used to go to forums, and I used to, I don't know, go to Twitter and stuff like that. And you know how much fun that can be, asking technical questions publicly. So it's as fun as it gets. As fun as it gets. But no, I mean, it's great having the help and the support. Like, for example, one of the things that David has is that he's very approachable.
Yeah.
If you have any question, it doesn't matter how stupid it is. Like, what the hell do I do with bitrate? He will freaking sit down and help you.
Yeah.
Even if it's in a normal stream from Monday to Friday, because he does have his normal streams with content and stuff, and he has a special one for Q&A. It doesn't matter when. He's helpful, and he's really approachable, and he's really friendly. So that's one of the reasons that is a good perk to be part of that community, because at least you got David around. But it is daunting when you don't know.
Definitely would say that's one of the reasons why I ask you guys is that it just finds, like, for me, like, tech has become a never-ending pit of just when you feel like you've figured it out, you go to another level. And
you should join the guild, by the way.
Yeah.
That's something. Yeah, maybe that might be a good idea, actually. Yeah, no, that'd be quite a good idea, because it's one of those.
If you ever have any questions, he's very knowledgeable when it comes to podcasting, live streaming, recording everything. So anything. And if you don't know it, we still have like a bunch of freaking people. We have Kevin, we have Andy, we have a lot of different people there that are really like professionals in that field. Yeah.
Well, that's something that is really interesting, because I get asked that a lot, like with the tech, because that's why I asked you, because it's the same thing. I just bought an A10 mini, and I've been like trying to work that out, and then you can do the next thing. And it's interesting because I get a lot of my stuff just by watching, screenshotting what Nick's done, and I'll message Nick and go, what is that?
Guess who Nick asks.
Yeah, I know who Nick asks, because I watch the streams. That's what like with the A-tip, that's what, like, I know that because like David appears on all the others, like I see like Loria and all the time, and he's always on those, and they do all of that together. And so it is interesting, but I definitely follow the tech but it's interesting why asking about that tech question is because sometimes I think people get paralyzed, as you were just saying, fuck the tech, like paralyzed by the idea. But at the same time, when you want to repurpose content and you want to make content that is like YouTube quality with your live streams, what I would say, my personal opinion, now obviously it's just an opinion, the tech is what makes that a reality. Because if you've got like A10 minis and you've got different angles and you've got different overlays and you've got everything happening, you'd have to do, like, I had Owen Video on the show last week, and Owen was saying like how he does hardly ever, he just does live and doesn't really, he just cuts video. He just doesn't even like really overlay.
Countdown timer out.
Yeah. Just like boom, done, like straight away. So he was saying like this live stream thing seems to be something that's becoming more and more popular. But what he said, and I was asking about, he said it's the investment up front. If you want to repurpose it and do that stuff, putting the preparation and the investment up front can save you a hell of a lot of time in the post. But obviously, you are saying, Si, that you do all the editing anyway.
It depends. It depends because there's the part where you can get the tech. Or there's the part like you can get StreamYard, you get Restream, you get stuff like software like that that's gonna help you out. Because this, I think StreamYard does individual audio sources as well.
Yeah.
It has you. I don't know if they do. No, they don't do individual video sources, but
there's talks of it happening. So there's talks of that. Yeah, I saw that with StreamYard. And I think they're coming on the show, so I'm going to try and get them to do, because I've got them coming on the show to try. And as I heard, Roberto Blake was talking to them about it and saying you should do individual video streams.
Yeah,
and he was very cagey. And I was like, "Oh, that'll be exciting."
So you got the tech, and then you have the software. So the software always helps out, and you want to do stuff simple with the instead of getting a camera with the lens or whatever, get a webcam, get a regular microphone. And just rely on the software on the software that's already built for it. So there's a lot of ways to take care of the tech and to fuck the tech, as I say.
So I love that. So we better get wrapping this up soon, because I could chat to you guys forever, because I love all this stuff.
Likewise.
My final question for you guys before we kind of tell everyone how to connect with you: what are the 3 tips you would say to somebody? I mean, you can have 3 each. So what would be your 3 top tips for someone who is considering starting a live stream for their business right now? What would be your 3 tips for them? Who wants to go first?
Oh, sorry. Ladies first.
I'm going to quote David Foster in this one as well. He's got a 3-step or 3 idea to get started, which is first commit, second create, and then connect.
Yep.
Basically, the idea is that you have to make a decision and just stick with it. Like, you have to, if you want to create content, just create it. Stop thinking about it, start doing. And eventually you're going to have to give yourself the room to explore, to practice, to experience. You're not going to get not your content, not your branding, not your channel. You're not going to get it done in one day. You're going to need time for you to get out there, get it done. So I will strongly suggest anybody that is listening that wants to get started with content creation to go ahead and sign up on the creatortoolkit.com, which is it's a free workshop that David has that gets people started. Basically, it's a bunch of different
For free.
phases. Yes, it's entirely free. It's a bunch of different phases that he covers, from the basics of vMix, OBS, to how do you understand what is the better platform for you? How do you decide what kind of content you want to do? How do you do your content planning? It's pretty well put together, and it's a fantastic tool for you to see how easy and how streamlined it is for you to choose if you want to do a podcast, if you want to do video, if you just want to start live streaming. It is easier than it seems, but just don't get caught up in all these little details. Just do more and then plan about it.
Love it. What about you,
and I
Dr.
got,
Elo? What's yours? She's
action.
stolen your 3 now.
No, not at all. Not at all. We're
Very
good,
good.
believe me. Action, not perfection. It's better to act on it than trying to be perfect and never do anything. The second one is practice makes perfection. And, not real perfection, but practice makes you better. The iteration of practicing. Even if you want to practice in a Zoom call, just go ahead and practice, and you will get better with time, I promise. My first live stream sucked. And last but not least, fuck the tech. Forget about the tech. Just go and take your cell phone and start doing whatever you need to do. You don't need a camera. You don't need an expensive microphone. You don't need none of that to just have your presence felt in a live stream. So
I love it. Guys.
Yeah, actually, I think my budget is less than $100.
there you
Budget
go.
that I have going here. Yeah.
I'm not
And
going
we're
to talk
going
about
live
mine.
twice a week and everything. Yeah.
I think that's
You
something
can
that's
make
really,
it happen.
that's really important to actually highlight there, is the budget thing, because I don't think people realize how much I get caught up on that. I didn't when I first started. I literally went live every day with my mobile phone. That was it. I didn't
You
do
see?
anything else. But as you start to get you can get a bit too obsessed with your gas.
Mhm.
You can get caught
Yeah.
up, and the next thing you know, and that's how I ended up with the ATEM. Literally, it's not even plugged in because I don't have anything for it.
It's just there to be part
It's
of the
literally
whole.
there to be
It's
part
giving
of it.
its good vibes.
I said to
That
my
is
wife, I was like,
gas for real.
I was like, I've bought it, and then she was like, "What are you gonna do with it?" I was like, I don't know. I was like, because
I've bought it 2 times and returned it 2 times because I don't know what to do with it, but I wanted one.
that's exactly what I wanted. Everybody's desk has an A10 Mini on it, and it was like, are you even a streamer until you have an A10
Well,
Mini?
Not
And then-
everybody. We don't have one, so
Well, there you
feel
go.
good. Return it.
Well, I can't. I tried to return it. The joke of it is, I tried to. Obviously, in the UK, we've had Brexit, yeah. So we've got Brexit over here,
yeah.
which means we get hit with. You buy them from Germany. They don't produce them in England,
Okay.
really. So you pay. So I bought it, but then I had to pay like a massive customs fee to get it across. It's the same with my
Wow.
Rodecaster Pro. I had to pay. That was like what? They're like £1,500, £1,500, whatever that is over there in dollars. I don't really know.
$600. Yeah.
Yeah, how much? 1,600.
$600 is $599. That's what it costs.
That is.
Yeah.
What, the Rodecaster Pro?
Rodecaster.
Wow.
And that one costs $299. That's the
so that's
so bad
$299.
that I know all these prices. Oh my god.
So that was £299. So if you think that's like double, that was nearly £2,000.
Wow.
Which is like, if you're because it's not UK, because it's UK. It's a pain in the ass.
Wow.
Also, I can have a sound effect that I don't even use. I've never used it. Never. It's just a fancy little glowing thing in the background. That was it. So I don't know. Pointless thing.
You need a couple of these.
Yeah. They're
Oh
really
my
cool.
God.
They're really cool. Well, I like those. My favorite sound effect is this, and I still can't get to use it. And I have no idea
man, I love
how
that
I
one.
could use. What a great
Well,
effect. But
On the bright side, you just use both of them.
there you go.
That's true.
That's a win.
That was it. It was £2,000 worth of money well spent there. That was it. Absolutely amazing.
£1,000 per button.
I have. Oh, and you talked about Harris Heller. I do have Harris. I have some Stream Beats on it. I have a Stream Beats song
That's
on
good.
it, which is decent, but I can't play it because the levels blow your ears out on the other side. So I don't do that either. So that's really cool, guys. If people want to connect with you, they want to go and watch your show, your podcast, your live stream, where can they go? Where's the best place? Obviously, it's going to all be in the description and show notes, but where's the best place?
They can find us on Twitch. It would be twitch.tv/Creators Guild. It's Creators Guild, right?
The Creators Guild.
The Creators Guild.
Yeah, it's
on Twitch.
Got it in front of me. The Creators Guild.
Yeah, you can find Sai as well. Also, Sai. Oh my God, what the fuck, right?
SAYOMGWTF. Yes, on Twitter. I'm always on Twitter. You can come by and say hi.
See, Sai, because that's what it makes the name, but you guys say to me. So when you sent me, you're like, I was like, say, oh my God, what the fuck? What is this?
Say is short. Say is short for side mail. So it's just that's one of the reasons why I always use it everywhere. So say OMGWTF is my Twitter handle.
It was when Elo said, "Can you call?" I was like, "Who is that? What is this? This is cool." So yeah, that's great, guys. I will put that all in the descriptions for you.
Yeah, you can find me as well in the askdrelo.com. Everything's in there. So askdrelo.com. Yeah, every single platform that I have, it's in there. So
I was on your website before.
I have a question for you though.
No. Yeah, come on. Come on, what's up?
When are you gonna join the guild?
I don't know. I'll tell you when we get off the stream. I'm gonna run the outro. Stop trying to sell me things. What's that?
See, now you're going to use it again.
Three times. I'm gonna run the outro. Then I'll chat to you off air. 3, 2, 1, guys. Thank you so much for playing on.